I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investmentpitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Xiao, CSO of PlatON. Ada, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me here.
You're very welcome. Let's talk about PlatON. Now, how would you say that the PlatON network blockchain infrastructure is differentiating itself in the blockchain industry?
Right, that's a very good question. So the main goal of PlatON is to build a infrastructure for the next generation decentralized businesses. And there are two things that we're focusing on, the two main things, which are the problems that we believe exist with the current blockchain industry. And one thing is privacy problem. So we are building privacy preserving computation technologies, which can be performed off-chain to better encrypt personal data and sensitive information before it's shared on the open ledger and used for collaboration purposes. And the second thing that we are focusing on is solving the scalability problem. And in order to do that, we are utilizing this technology called verifiable computation. What it meant is that instead of running the whole calculation and computation all over again by all the nodes to reach a consensus, we can now generate a short proof. Mathematically, it's proven to be safe and secure and sound. And any node only needs to verify that short proof in order to know that the outcome of the computation is actually valid. So that's the two things that we're focusing on, and that's what makes us kind of different from the existing projects that we know of right now.
Interesting. Well, that sounds very promising. Now, when viewers that are just getting into cryptocurrency look at these networks, it can be very complex, and often they compare it to Ethereum. Now, does PlatON have similarities to Ethereum? You mentioned scalability and privacy are two of the things that the Ethereum network is working on, but are there other similarities or differences between Ethereum's network and yours?
Right. So first of all, I have to say that Ethereum definitely had a great impact on the entire blockchain industry. And me personally, we sort of like we talked with Vitalik and we worked together, and we kind of have conversation with Ethereum Foundation very often as well. And when we first get into this industry, the team and myself, we got a lot of very great ideas from Ethereum. However, what we are trying to do, or should I put it, our focus is kind of different from theirs. As I mentioned before, we are focusing on the privacy preserving part and utilizing various crypto algorithms to encrypt the data, and that's one thing. And then we also modify just a little bit on the consensus mechanism, because what we are trying to build is to strike a balance between a fully decentralized network and performance and efficiency, because we're trying to build a infrastructure for decentralized businesses. And so we adopt this POS consensus mechanism where so basically voters or stake owners can vote for their like consensus nodes, and then we would adopt a very variable random function to actually elect randomly 25 nodes out of those selected 100, and those will become and take turns become the block producers.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. Now, when did the team first start developing PlatON, and how far along is it now?
Right. So basically, we announced this project just about a year ago. So we're actually going to have our anniversary this weekend. So in San Francisco. And but the team has actually been working on the project since the start of last year. But before that, we also have experiences, like building project for commercial clients using blockchain technologies. So in this January, we just completed and launched our testnet, so basically we deliver what we promised to the community. And right now we are working on the launch of the mainnet. So we expect the mainnet will be available and launched up and running by the end of Q3 or the early Q4 this year. We are working day and night to make sure that it will be stable, because we think that stability is actually very important for the project. And so this is right now what we are working on. I guess further along into the future, in the long term, we think that we might be working on some more customized hardware that's dedicated and sort of tailor-made for conducting computation for PlatON, and have the the crypto algorithms actually embedded within the hardware, that would be the ultimate way to improve efficiency and scalability problems.
And can you talk a little bit about the team that's developing right now? How big is your team? Where are you guys located? And are you expanding?
Right. So right now we have team mostly in Asia. So we have team in Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, Hangzhou, and Hong Kong. And I guess like we have about like more than 100 people actually working on the project full time. But like the spirit of open source project and blockchain, we want to get like at least as more decentralized as we can. So we definitely welcome, at least like after the launch of the network, we welcome contributions from the community, and we are working on expanding our brand image and our community overseas as well. So that's I guess like the plan for the future.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a really large team, Ada. Congratulations so far.
Thank you.
And can you speak a little bit about the investors and the partners of PlatON?
Well, absolutely. So we basically haven't really publicized or been marketing fundraising activities publicly anywhere. One of the very important reasons, because we do have legal advisors from like different jurisdictions, and they did advise us not to do that because especially some major economy, they might have like different views on how they should like regulate this kind of activity. So we are being extra careful on that side because we are looking to the long term, and I guess like regulation is something, regulators are something that we just cannot pretend not to see or avoid. So in terms of the partners, so basically we have been working with different industries and verticals. The top three industries we're working with are financial industries, and we are partnering with investment banks in overseas and as well as in China. And we are working with financial infrastructure providers in China. And we did build a sort of equity exchange platform for one of the regional OTC equity exchanges in China, and basically helping them to connect them with the tax bureau and all the other parties who are involved with performing the whole cycle of a trade. The second industry we are partnering or focusing on is the healthcare industry, because they have enormous amount of data, and especially with medical data and genetic data. Those are very sensitive personal data, so they really need a very good privacy preserving technology to make sure that those are not leaked anywhere while they're calculating and collaborating with them. So we also do have some partners or clients in the logistic industry, because we're helping them to build like supply chain and the system for them, that they can have the information and data better circulated within the system. So I hope that answered the question.
Definitely. Yeah, financial services, healthcare, and logistics are all very popular and look like they could be implementing blockchain technology soon into those industries. So that's very promising to hear. Could you speak a little bit about if there will be a business model or a revenue model for those industries, or how specifically PlatON is looking to sustain its business for the next 5 to 10, 20 years?
Right. So if we're talking about PlatON, the foundation itself, so basically the foundation is non-for-profit, just like the Ethereum Foundation. We build a network, and I know that there are projects out there who would charge like a transaction fee per transaction, but we feel like it actually adds to the friction within the system, so we don't really want to do that. Everything that's performed on the public chain, the PlatON chain, will be free of transaction fee. So all the resources and the token will be allocated to those who actually help to perform the task. As for the foundation, we do have like a 2.5% inflation rate each year. And then for the first 10 years, the foundation will not take any rewards or any profits out of anything, but we will be subsidizing and donating into the society, so that the subsidy will actually go to those who perform the task. But then after 10 years, we will be taking just a little bit portion out of the 2.5% inflation token, just to maintain, the daily operation of the foundation. And we believe that that's really, since it's a public chain, and we believe in that it should be run by the whole entire community, not just like centralized team.
That's great, Ada. And maybe you can touch a little bit further on if there's a cryptocurrency involved, similar to how Ether is used as a gas for transaction costs on the Ethereum network. Are there cryptocurrencies involved in the network, and how are they utilized?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We do have a cryptocurrency within the network, and we call that Anagon. Like, I think the Anagon from the Transformers, because they are sort of like what powers the Transformers. So it would be the way that it works would be quite similar to Ethereum and the other projects. So basically, we will have a requester. Basically, I have a task, and I will need some data from other people. And then I would just basically publish a task. And then those who have the data, relevant data, will say, hey, okay, I have the data. And then by using the privacy preserving measures that PlatON provides, then I'm comfortable with sharing the data with you for this one task. Then the Anagon will go from the task requester to those data providers. That's how it actually flows. So the Anagon will actually be a very crucial part of the whole economic model within the PlatON network.
Great. And as the mainnet launches, and you mentioned Q3 or Q4, what are the first steps after that? Is it acquiring more customers or acquiring more developers?
Yes. I guess like one of the most important step for any open source project out there would be acquiring more developers and expanding the community itself, because it's more sort of like technology focused. So that's something that we'll definitely be working on, like from now on, especially after the launch of the mainnets. And then, of course, the reason why we're actually building this new technology is because we really hope that it can help to transform or enhance the way that businesses actually perform, and how different industries and different companies collaborate with each other. So we will also focus on really educating the market, and not just the tech developers, but also like people from the business side to actually understand how this technology can actually help them. And we wish that it can actually help to improve the productivity and efficiency of how the current business world is actually functioning.
Definitely, that's a great goal to have, and you really need to make an impact in the real world outside of the blockchain industry to prove that this technology can make use of, as you mentioned, financial services, healthcare, and logistics. I could foresee in the next 12 months already working into those industries and having a functional product for PlatON.
So I guess like for the next 12 months, I guess right now the main focus will still be the milestone, the most important milestone, which is the launch of the mainnet. And I guess like one of the very important things, so we do have many corporate clients, and when we talk to them, they're worried that, privacy is one thing, scalability is another thing, and then scalability is actually something they really care about. They don't want to build a system based on a new infrastructure, but however, it would just fails at any time, just because it couldn't take like the very high volume of transactions. So right now we're working on to make sure that our blockchain at least will be very stable once it's launched. We don't want to launch like a incomplete product. And that's something that the entire team is actually focusing right now. And that's our top priority. And I guess like into the future, we do have some, like partners in financial industries and all. We're working with them and getting to know their workflows and their businesses, and with those informations, we'll be able to better, like perfecting and modifying our products and infrastructures. And while we will continue to upgrade our blockchain technology, with MPC and verifiable computation and everything, we will also be putting a lot of attentions and resources into educating our potential customers who will be adopting the technology.
That's great, Ada. And if there are potential customers or just people interested in learning more about PlatON, what is the best way for them to learn more information and get involved?
Right. I don't want it to sound like an advertisement, but we are on GitHub, and we're on Twitter and LinkedIn. So if you have any questions or just simply want to talk to us and get to know more about us, learn about what we're doing, then you're welcome to just like follow us on those platforms. And also you can just get more information of what we're doing from our website, which is PlatON.network. We would definitely welcome any kinds of suggestions, contributions, and insights from the community.
Amazing. Thank you, Ada. I'll leave those links in the description box below. And that's all the time we have today, but thank you so much for being on the show. Let's follow up in the near future.
Okay, thank you very much again.